What's up, you wonderful folks? This is Alex with Swamp Rat Fishing, and tonight this is Bass and Brews. We've got a killer guest. I'm really stoked to have him on. We've been trying to set this up for a while now, so I'm really stoked to have him on. Before we get started, I want to talk to folks about Hookset Hoodlums. Hopefully you can give some time so we can tell you about Hookset. All right, this is more than a company. This is a movement that's spreading across. This is one of the realest group of anglers that you guys will ever meet. Everybody on that pro staff team, they're real. They're all sticks in their own way. We got tournament anglers. We've got people that make stupid fucking podcasts. We've got it all. So head on over to hooksethoodlums.com. Use discount code SwampRatFishing. Save yourself some cash. I also want to give a shout out to Damien over at Stretching Lines. This guy's like in his basement homemade bait maker who is making really good stuff. Like, you guys definitely have to check him out. All of his baits, they're really good. He's got great colors. He'll even give you some custom stuff if you ask for it. So definitely check him out. That's stretchinglines.com. Tonight, we've got the one, the only, Nate Chagnon. Did I say that right? Chagnon.
You got it. You got it.
We got him on the show, and we're going to have a first here on this world-famous, critically acclaimed podcast that is Bass and Brews. We actually had a drink request from a guest. That's never happened before. To be honest, normally on Bass and Brews, I'm the only one that's drinking anything for about 75% of the podcast. Everybody else is drinking water or juice or some other ridiculousness. So Nate said that tonight we're drinking Jameson. There ain't no brew on that. We're drinking Jameson. So, Nate, thanks for coming on. Cheers to you, brother.
No problem, buddy. Cheers. Never been a big beer guy, but Bass and Brews, I figured we'd make it whiskey and brews tonight.
If you guys know me, I'm more of a bourbon guy. I do like some whiskey, and it's going to be a fun one because the whiskey hit quick. So Nate's a kayak angler. He's out of the Northeast. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're like Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, some dumb fucking state up there that's all the same, right?
I am out of Taunton, Massachusetts, originally from the Natick Framingham area, but now I reside in Taunton, which is some of the best fishing in Massachusetts, man.
You guys always catch big ones, but I mean, you can only catch them for like 4 months out of the year, and then it gets really cold.
I don't know, man. You just got to know how to fish them deep in the cold weather.
That's true. And I definitely want to get into that because if you guys don't follow Nate, he has been on a tear lately on tournaments, and he is a tournament fisherman. And not like he's probably the biggest name we've had on here. In case you guys are just listening on the podcast, not watching it, he's the first guy to ever put big checks behind him. So that's how big the name is we got here.
Yeah, dude, that was still an amazing day. That actually happened this March. I went down to Alabama, and it was actually it was special for me. If you listen to any of my other podcasts, happened to be my sister's birthday weekend. And I'm sure we'll get into that later. But I went down there, man, pre-fishing. I found a spot, found a couple of 17s, and wasn't really fishing hard. And I rolled in there day one of the tournament, and within an hour and a half, put up 4 18s and a 1750.
That's fantastic.
Followed that up with another 18, a 22 kicker, and it was enough to bring me third place and give me I actually tied. We both had a 22, but I tied. He caught it earlier. I got second for biggest bass.
For lunker. Man, that was just and what's great is that since then, like you've just been killing it still. You're still at the top of these tournaments that are coming up, which is awesome.
I've had a couple of good finishes. I came back in the first ever MAKB East tournament of this year. I had a second place finish. Kenwood had me by a mile, but we had about everybody else by 20 inches.
Right.
And I had a second place finish there. I finished twice, one spot out of the money in the West. And then this past weekend, MAKB East actually fished the Nashua River, and I cashed a check in fourth place there.
And that's, I mean, these are you Northeast guys. Like, I feel like the South has their like own kind of deal, right? Those Southern kayak guys, those guys out of Texas and Alabama have their own deal. But then once you kind of move up the coast, I feel like, Jersey, we don't have a huge scene for kayak fishing here. I know it's kind of popular in Maryland, but like the big sticks, it's getting up in New England. It's getting that New York, Massachusetts area. You guys definitely love to compete.
Let's put it this way. I placed fourth this weekend. The guy who placed first, he put up 102.5 inches. And he had it by 8:18 a.m.
That is insane.
Dude.
I don't even know what to say on that one. That's nuts. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not shy of talent up here. We actually give me a second. I want to show something on.
All right. He's going to drop something special. I think he actually just wanted to move so we could see those checks again. Again, if you're not listening or watching this on YouTube, you're missing out. He's got some big old checks in the background.
So I actually got these stickers we had made. I don't know if you can read that. It says no respect.
Yeah.
And it has the whole Northeast. And dude, we got some sticks up here. And I feel like we're overlooked a lot. And I have no credibility for making those stickers. That was made by a buddy, good friend of ours, but it speaks for a lot of us up here.
I think you're absolutely right. And then if you look at, I don't know if you looked at some of the standings from the national championship. This is being recorded on the 15th of June. So the national championships was just last weekend, right? If you look at some of those, there's a lot of people from the North. A lot of people from the Northeast were up on that. If
you look at the KBF Rookies of the Year, the past 3 years, every Rookie of the Year has come out of Massachusetts. We had Joe DiDeo in 2018.
Yep.
We had Derek Brundle in 2019, and we had Matt Carnett.
Okay.
And he was also the national championship and the trail championship and challenge championship.
That's insane. Yep.
And then Dunn won everything under the sun his rookie year, but
and all coming out north. So you Southern guys, you all need to watch out because folks are coming for your necks. So how'd you get started in fishing and kayak fishing in particular?
So I started fishing, I fished growing up. It was just a fun thing to do. I think I fished in my first ever tournament. I think I was 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I fished from the bank, and I won like third place for youth. And I actually still have the original floating Rapala to this day that I won for that. But then, I never fished another tournament again until I was like 21. But I kind of gave up on fishing in high school. So I lost my mom late in high school. And then right after high school, my sister was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And she lived with me. And it was just me and her in a 2-bedroom apartment. And kind of when she passed, I was struggling really hard. And, kind of at that fork in the road. What path are you going to go down? And a buddy of mine introduced me to kayak fishing. And it changed my life. I fell deeply in love with it. And then I think it was 2018, I found MAKB. And that changed my life. I fished one tournament with them, and I hopped into it all the way. Next thing I know, I was traveling to New York for KBF tournaments, and I was fishing every weekend. It became my therapy, my church, my everything.
I think it's I know, like, I don't know if you know this, but I heard your interview on Jigs and Bigs. That was the first time. I don't think I was part of Hookset yet. And I heard your interview, and when I heard you kind of explain your whole journey over there, that was like it actually. So it kind of motivated me to want to do this stupid fucking podcast, right? But I wanted to do it because, and I think I told you, no, I was definitely part of Hookset because I remember telling you, like, dude, you've got a story to tell. You're somebody we can all root for. Like, you are, like, you've gone through a lot and you've gone through some really dark stuff, but then came out on top. You know what I mean? Like, you came out ahead of that. And I think that's just really awesome. And I don't know if you knew, but like the reason why I was like, okay, I got to kickstart this, I want to do this sooner, is because I feel like there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of anglers. Because the whole idea on this show is to get folks folks in the fishing community who don't have these like big podcasts to go, we're not Jugs and Bugs. We don't have 9,800 million listeners in Pakistan, right? So I want to make sure that every man can get out there and kind of get their word out, and you were really the drive for that after I heard your story. It's just absolutely amazing, brother.
I really appreciate it, man. I mean, I came up, my mom was diagnosed when I was 1 with a non-curable cancer. She had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and my mother actually started her own charity. And I was always taught to embrace your story, you know, don't ever hide from it. And when my sister passed, and, you know, I finally realized fishing was what called to me. It was what made me feel whole.
Right.
I knew it all tied in. I mean, I go to the water every tournament. I say a prayer to my mother and my sister, and I ask them, just give me a chance. I'll do the rest. Just give me a chance. And, you know, it's been a wild ride, but I wouldn't trade any of it, you know. Those 2 years I got to spend with my sister, I feel like we grew closer than anybody. And, you know, I fished a little bit back then when she was stuck in the hospital, and she always loved to see the fishing photos and everything. And
right.
It just carried on. Next thing I know, I found tournaments, and I didn't like, you know, fishing for fun anymore. If there wasn't that competitive edge, you know, I strived for it.
Like I mean, that's crazy how you would go from that. Because again, a lot of folks, I'm one of them. Like, I fish for peace of mind. I do my thing, right? But there is, and you're one of them. Like, what makes that drive from that? Because you did say fishing's your therapy, your church, but also that you don't like to fish for fun. Like, you want to fish for those high stakes. Like, it all, like, well, what is it that kicks that drive?
Before fishing, you know, I was a wrestler. I was captain junior and senior year. I was Division I varsity as a freshman, and I always had that competitive drive. You know, that was my therapy before fishing. And when I tore my ACL the second time, you know, that kind of went away. But I always still had that competitive edge. And, you know, I fun fished for a while, but once I found tournament fishing, it filled that hole, and it became everything. You know, when I'm not fishing, I'm YouTubing lakes I have on the schedule for tournaments. Right. I'm looking at new baits. I'm figuring something out, or I'm in the group chat with you hooligans talking about fishing. So
there is very little. I mean, there's a minuscule amount of fishing talked on that thing. I'm pretty sure today there was just a long thread of insults about the car purchase I made that had nothing to do with insults or had nothing to do with fishing. And that lasted for an hour.
I can safely say I only logged on once today, and it was to say I was doing the podcast with you. And that was
Sometimes you got to take a minute. Like, I don't have notifications on because when Cody goes on his ramp, or like his rants, like, my phone's blowing up. The missus is thinking I got a mistress, and she's like, "Who's this Cody? Is that Cody with an eye?" No, it's a big, large hillbilly from Maryland is who it is.
Oh yeah, that I had turned that off. That was going off at work, and I couldn't tell if it was work or that, and it became too much for me.
All right, what would you say your fishing style is? Are you more pattern or power finesse? Are you more pattern or are you more spot oriented?
I'd say it depends on what I'm fishing. I love an offshore bite. I am absolutely. I seek that offshore that a lot of guys don't look at. I look
Right.
for. I tend to strive early season, late season, and when it's getting into the hot of summer. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you noticed whole bed fishing. Man, I did terrible in tournaments. The second they started going deep again, I kicked
Yeah.
back up. And I'd also say I strive in river fishing. I grew up fishing the Charles River here in Massachusetts,
Okay.
and I mean, I love river fishing. You look at my top 3 KBF finishes all time. Every one of them has come off a river system,
Wow.
and it's just one of those things I understand well with current and where bait fish run. And it's gotten to the point I've gone out fun fishing with buddies, and I can almost call my spot on the Charles River. So
That's a good feeling. That's man, during the spawn, so about a month ago when it was really like that prime time for us here, I was out on River X and I was with a buddy. I didn't record it, I didn't film anything. He hadn't been in town. He's in the military like I am, and he hadn't been home in 2 years. So he comes out, and he's the one that initially showed me this kind of tidal river that I fish all the time. And it was really cool to be able to like show him because he hasn't been there and the river always changes. You know what I mean? And I remember being like, yo, there's a fish right there. And he's like, no, they don't post up there. I'm like, dude, there's a fish right there. Throw this in that spot, do exactly this. And he's like, it's not going to work. He threw it in there. It was like a 4.5 pound. And that was like the only, like at that point, that was the first fish he caught of the whole trip. He's like, all right, well, can you just call the spots for me? And I wish I had it recorded because I went 6 for 6 on calling spots for him to catch fish. It was amazing.
It's to the point, like, if it wasn't pouring rain out and I was to roll this window up, you can, like, see the Taunton River from,
Right.
I love river fishing. I mean, if you saw my write-up on the Nashua River event this weekend, I came in 4th. I went into that thing completely blind. I had never fished the Nashua River before, and I think I called it in the Hookset Hoodlums group chat to Cody. It's like, we got a river coming up. I bet you I'm going to be up there. And I went out completely blind. I found some stuff that reminded me of the Taunton River. And I went to what I throw there and put up an early limit, and just kept culling from there and wound up in 4th. So
I love it.
River fishing's my bread and butter, but when it comes to big lakes, very rarely will you see me hitting the bank. I'm usually looking for offshore grass flats, ledges, stuff like that.
So when you're fishing that offshore stuff, do you have offshore for me, I'm definitely a shallow-minded fisherman. I like to keep tight to the bank. Are you running? I know you run a graph because we were in that chat and you were like, hey, you need to run a graph. And I'm like, I'm too lazy. I'm never going to run one. Are you running like a big old unit on it? Because I feel like sometimes it is intimidating because I feel like that graph is definitely a barrier of entry to do that offshore stuff.
So I wouldn't say I'm running a huge unit. I'm running the 6.3 Garmin Eco Map.
Okay.
So I do have Navionics on my fish finder. I run a 3-screen fish finder. So I have one. So the whole left side of my screen is all maps. Navionics shows me drops, shows me points, stuff like that. And then I have the chirp and the traditional graph running split screen on the right. And, like Pickwick, when I went down to Alabama, I set up my whole game plan. We launched in a creek, and I started looking for secondary points and stuff like that. I saw it got down to like 40 feet. So I was looking for like that 12-foot range. They weren't there. I wound up finding them a little bit shallower. I think I found them in like 9 feet, if I remember correctly. But I've never really been that bang the bank. I feel like every angler can bang the bank. I feel like it takes a little bit more to go digest that lake.
I fully agree. But a quick retort almost. So I feel like as these live scopes, these forward facing, these live sonars become more available, right? Because dudes are putting like Panoptics and shit on their kayaks, like pretty common almost, right? So I feel like that's going to push more dudes offshore, right? Because they're already seeing it in the bass boat world where more guys are fishing offshore than shallow. And then the guys who are shallow. So at some point this year, I don't know if you follow professional bass fishing, but like Bill Lowen hadn't won a trophy in however many years he's been in Bassmaster, right? And he knocked one out fishing shallow. And I remember hearing him talk about it, and he was like, nobody was fishing. Nobody was fishing shallow grass. Nobody was fishing shallow wood. Everybody was offshore staring at their grass the whole time.
I don't know. I've found in the past 4 years, a lot of guys will go bang the bank. You know, there's at least in kayak fishing,
right?
You know, we all have regular jobs. There's a couple of guys I fish tournaments with that do it for a living, and I should say women. Christine Fisher,
beast.
But no, I mean most of us, we work a 9 to 5 or for me 6 to whenever they decide to let us out. But no, so most of us. You see guys just, show up, bang the bank. And I'll see a couple of guys offshore. I mean, my best friend who really taught me how to read a graph, John Ferreira, you'll 9 times out of 10, you'll see that guy offshore.
Yeah. So. It's got to be something I need to add, maybe. Not a lot of guys, like I never see kayaks offshore. My lakes aren't very big either, though. I fish New Jersey, so... they're just little like garbage pit shitholes. So there's not a lot of like even our offshore stuff isn't because everything's a bowl. We don't have any of that like sweet structure or anything cool like anywhere else has. Like you know what I mean? Like a lot of people put on videos like, oh, make sure you go to the creek arms, and then I look at a picture of the lake and I'm like, well, there's like a waste treatment center. Yeah, and there's a rehab on the other side. I don't know where your creek arm is.
Dude, I live in Massachusetts. I know all about that shit. There's certain stuff I relay to like when I go fish these national events down south. And then up here, it's just, dude, it's a whole different ballgame. It ain't set up like it's
crazy
on them giant lakes. We're not a big state up here either. I'm not sure if New Jersey is bigger than Massachusetts.
No, it's way smaller. It's way smaller.
Really?
Dude, I can get from Cape May, which is the southern tip of New Jersey, I can get to New York City in like 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so our stuff is not only is it small, but it's like super pressured if you have it, right? But I will say it's not as pressured as most places because nobody gives a shit about freshwater here for the most part. They're all fishing stripers. They're all doing fluke. Like saltwater is king here. And I'm the odd man out. Like, hey, you guys want to catch some largemouth? And they're like, well, I was going to get a 30-pound striper, but I guess we can do a 3-pound bass. That's okay.
So I graduated high school 1 town shy of Cape Cod, just before you go over the bridge. And I've always been a freshwater fisherman. And dude, I can't tell you how many people were like, oh yeah, tank scrubbers. Like we're going for stripers. Like, and I was like, yeah, no, I just, I like freshwater.
I like those little green guys. They're cute. I like them.
The brown ones that jump a lot. That's my favorite.
See, that's on my bucket list. So we have one lake in South Jersey and they stock them. They have to stock smallies.
Oh, dude. You want a smallmouth bite? You come up. I'll put you on.
Dude, between you, I know Wild Bill was talking about putting me on. I'm like, they are a bucket list fish for me.
Listen, let's be realistic.
Well, I'm going to go fishing with you before Wild Bill. We've established this multiple times that Wild Bill is about as Guggen and Juggalo as you can get. He's pretty much a fake fisherman. He just does it for the pictures. He carries around a cooler full of fish, and he just pulls them out and takes a picture with them.
I'm not going to go down this road because we might both get kicked off the pro stuff for this.
Wild Bill, I love you, man. You're you know, so
Dude,
he's awesome. And he hit me up in chat yesterday. I had for the listeners, my car like blew up on the way to work at 4:30 in the morning, just blew up like smoke. I thought I hit the jackpot in Atlantic City. Every single light came on. So what ended up happening was my radiator out of nowhere decided to just explode in my car and seized up the engine. So I was dealing with that and I had to work. And out of nowhere, I get a DM from Bill on one of my breaks at work. And he's like, "Hey man, you good? I haven't heard from you today. You all right over there?" Like, "I'm good, man. He's got a lot of shit going on," but he was just checking in. I liked it. Wild Bill's a good dude, but he is not a fisherman at all. He's more of a model than anything.
He's got a couple of good fish. He's got a couple. He's I don't want to say anything bad. So Bill's actually, I have never personally spoken to Ken or Andrew.
Right.
Bill is the only one I've ever dealt with. Bill actually signed me the day before Alabama.
That's a good signing, Bill. Listen, Bill, that's a good signing.
I had finished pre-fishing in Alabama, come back to the Airbnb. It was our first night there, and he had emailed me the contract.
Yeah.
And I signed that Friday morning when I woke up, and I emailed it back to him. And Saturday rolled around, and it hit, and he texted me, and he was like, "Did that really just happen?" And I sent him the photo, and I was like, "You best believe I had the hat on too, as
Right.
I'm, holding the 2 checks on stage." And
that's a good. All right, Bill, you're a shit fisherman, but you are a great talent scout. You got that down.
It was literally the day before. Like, I don't know. That whole trip was crazy. I actually, me and Bobby were talking about doing the Jigs and Bigs interview. And we had talked, and I actually told him, I'm like, "Listen, I'm going to Alabama next week. Like, let's wait. Just in case I do something, let's wait." And when it happened, I remembered texting him, and I'm like, "I'm so happy we waited." And he's like, "I can't believe it." Like,
it was good timing. That's amazing. Yeah, that's very serendipitous, all that timing.
Oh, yeah. That whole weekend, it still just feels surreal. Like, I think about it as a dream. But
so, what kind of kayak do you fish out of?
I actually fish out of, and I want to give a shout out on this. I've already said his name once. John Ferreira. Any of you are interested in getting in the same kayak as me, reach out to this man. I'm fishing out of a Wilderness Recon 120 HD. He's on the Wildy staff. He got his. He was telling me about it, and I went and looked at him, and man, I was sold. It is the most stable kayak I've ever been in. When I sight fish, I actually stand on the seat, and I have absolutely no worries about going in. I believe that kayak has a lot to do with my success this year. I went from a paddle feel-free 13 lure to that this year, and Alabama was actually my first ever tournament out of the Recon, and that it's been nothing but good to me. The storage in the hatch, the through haul transducer ability it has, everything about it is amazing.
So it's funny you mentioned that it made a big deal. And it's you shifting to pedals, right, instead of the paddle. So is that a big deal?
I can absolutely tell you that 22 I put on the board in Alabama would not have happened without pedals. I threw that thing up into a laydown in about 6 inches of water. I was running the bank on my way to another secondary point, and just so happened to come across a laydown. There was actually a bass boat coming at me, and I told them, like, hey, man, I'm in second. Do you mind? And they were like, I tell you what, you can have the whole cove. And they were actually super cool about it, dude. I passed them on the way to the award ceremony, and they were loading up, and they were screaming, how'd you do? And I was like, third place. I got a 6-pounder off that log. And they were like, no way, like jumping. Strangers I'd never met before. But I threw that up in 6 inches of water, and it was literally right in between two laydowns. And the second I stuck him, I knew he was good. I had hooked into a 22 about 20 minutes before that I lost off the board. And I set into him, and I knew he was big, and I didn't even reel him in. I just backpedaled, and I dragged him directly out of the trees. And that was a huge difference going from the feel-free paddle. You know?
So I think even more, I've been having these conversations with different anglers, and it comes up to basically like Hobie versus everybody else, right? And I truly think that, like, I understand Hobie they have a product with their fin system, right? Like, you flutter kick that thing in shallow water, you're always going to beat out a prop. 100%. I get that, right? But the ability to reverse, I do it all the time on the river, right? Because whenever you're in a kayak, you're giving up so much leverage no matter what, right? Because it's moving.
The feel free has instant reverse,
right?
And it's actually easier than the Hobie. The Hobie, you got to pull something to change it. Feel free, or not feel free. I'm sorry, the wilderness system.
It's wilderness isn't a. It's not a. It's not a flipper system. It's a prop system, right?
Yeah, it's like a bike pedal.
Yeah.
And all I have to do to reverse is literally back pedal in the wilderness, and I love it.
I think on the market, you're going to see more of those. So if you look again to that national championship that just happened, there wasn't a lot of Hobie guys up there. There wasn't. It was a lot of Old Town, and just basically like anything with a prop style motor on it, right? You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like a lot of folks think you need that Hobie. I actually think, me personally, I think those instant reverse drives are way better. Again, on the river, when I set into a fish, I hit that fish because you give up so much leverage. It's almost now muscle memory of when I hit it, I'm instantly reversing to counteract where you're going to drag yourself into them. And you can't do that on a Hobie. It's impossible.
So there's a couple of things that come into that argument, though. I think a lot of us are going to trolling motors. You know, the XI3s, the Torpedoes, the Bixby's.
Yep.
So I think a lot of that pedal, obviously, I mean, like, there's still tournament trails that don't allow it. The Hobie EOS, they don't allow it, and they're a huge name trail.
Yep.
I don't personally fish them, but they're a huge name trail. And but I think a lot of it's going motor. I think in the next year I'll probably have a motor on the front.
I hope not. It's funny you mentioned that too. The podcast that's going to air before this one, me and Paul Roberts go pretty deep into that. I think it goes against what this should be. I personally would like no motors on it. I want to keep pedal drive only. Because I think there is a big
man. I'm an offshore fisherman.
Right.
Spot lock plays a huge part.
You're completely right, but I think we get away from the spirit of this, right? Which would be that it was very accessible for everybody. When we start those early, or those spot lock boats right now are $4K minimum.
Yeah, I mean,
right? Right. So we're losing.
If you take in everything we put onto it, the rods, the tackle, everything, even the pedal drives are 4K minimum. I mean,
right.
You
No.
but
when you start adding those trolling motors, you're cranking it up way more. And I feel like it adds, me personally, I think it takes away from what this was supposed to be. But I totally get it, because the tournament scene, like in fishing in general, tournaments drive sales, they drive the whole scene, right? And as more tournaments, I mean, more dudes are getting way more competitive with it, which is awesome. I love seeing it. I want to see it blow up. I don't do any tournament fishing, mostly because I'm really fucking lazy. I try to do those like monthly things, and I forget the board, and then I'm like, fuck it. And then honestly, like I do YouTube and shit. So I already got like 2 cameras on the fucking boat. Now I got to measure this thing. Like that's not, unless you're going to be paying me full time. Now I want to do, like when I get out of the service, I want to actually do more. And I don't want to do the monthly things. Jigs and Bigs, they've ran those 2 monthly things. I've done nothing but donate money, because I've either forgotten the board or looked at it and went like, dude, nah, fuck that. Hey, here's my fish. I'd rather talk to that camera instead. You know what I mean? It's
all right. I've donated to, like, I joined them to join them, and I still have text threads with Sean. Like, dude, I'm a bass fisherman. Like, I did that stuff in the winter. That's when I started it. I actually won a chronic trips in December, or tied for first. Oh, that's on YouTube. I probably shouldn't have done the air quotes. But anyways, we can edit that out.
There's no editing. If you just wouldn't have said anything, you would have been fine, because nobody watches the replays.
So, but when it comes to like this time of year, March through October, man, I got a bass tournament almost every weekend. So those multi-species, I'm really just donating. Like, I'll get a pro, I'll get a pike, I'll get this and that on a chatterbait here and there. But I mean, I ain't going for catfish. I ain't going for, carp.
I don't like catfish. I think catfish are the devil's fish. And carp, they're the devil's fish too. Teddy goes fishing. Big props to you, man. You're like slaying those scale sides. I don't like any of them. They can go pack sand.
I just don't have time, man. I work a lot. Road work. You get a lot of overtime, man. When you cut into a pipe, you can't stop until it's reconnected. And weekends are really the only chance I get. And between KBF, MAKB, and Elite, 9 times out of 10, I'm bass fishing every weekend. So.
Yeah, that's something I want to, again, like when I get out and I feel like I can devote more time. But the online only deal monthly thing, for me, that's not it. I'd rather go out, and maybe I'll put down the YouTube at that point because I want to concentrate on that. But like if I'm going to go out like on a normal session, I usually got like 3 cameras running in the boat. And the last thing I want to do is worry about measuring a 7-inch bluegill. So it's just not my jam. And again, this isn't a crap on Sean. I know he created his whole thing. Sean, it's awesome. For me, it's not for me. I won't be donating anymore. I will still wear my PFD, so you can. It's not a big deal. Sean doesn't listen to this; he's too big for this. So, but I'll still wear my PFD.
Listen, he might listen to this one. He's good friends with me.
He still won't. They don't even know the name of the podcast yet. I can't. Bobby gave me a shout out, not in this last episode, but the other one. And it took him 3 times to get the name right, which is good. That's an upgrade, because before he just said the Rats Podcast, which was like similar.
Once again, I'm going to keep it professional. Bypass this comment, but
all right. What's the number one bait that you hate to throw, but you got to throw it to catch fish?
Drop shot.
Drop shot, my man, because I hate that bait. I hate that bait.
It's a lot of waiting. But don't get me wrong, I've won money off it. I have absolutely won money off it. But it's a lot of waiting. offshore fishing, you're throwing it quite a
Oh,
bit. One thing I hate to throw more than the drop shot, and you will very rarely see me throw, even if other people are catching them on them, is the Ned rig.
okay.
I cannot stand to throw the Ned rig. I don't know what it is about it. Just I can't stand throwing it.
See, I'm the opposite. I haven't been throwing the Ned rig a lot lately, right? But I'd rather throw the Ned rig than that drop shot.
No,
And but the Ned rig you can fish different ways, right? So I feel like if I get bored, at least I can fish it a different way.
well, here's the thing. I fish the drop shot in a very unconventional way. Ken Wood actually calls it the Chagnon shuffle. And I almost fish it like jerk bait. Like with chatterbait, I'm like this the whole time. And
Okay.
I'm just making, or the drop shot, I'm
Right.
just making that bait wake basically right across the bottom. And I don't fish it, out there.
I might have to try that. That seems a little more
after.
exciting. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I do is I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, and I'm not a power fisherman. That is not my strong point. I'm getting better at it. That's not my strong point. But like drop shot, like I have a whole rod, I have a reel, I've got probably hundreds of dollars worth of baits, and they all look pretty as they sit in a box with the reel next to it, where I just don't even bring anymore. Like I can't stand that bait.
Dude, I fished a drop shot very unconventionally, but the Ned, I can't stand it. It's too slow for me. I can't do it.
Have you tried to fish at the other retrieves though?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I fished that. I don't get me wrong, I've caught giant fish off the Ned. I've fished it when I've needed to, but it's not one I often go tied.
You're going for it.
Go on, I go out with 7 rods.
I was about ready to ask that. So you go with 7. Okay.
7, yeah. I go 2 spinning, 5 bait casts.
Okay.
And very rarely is a net tied on to one of them spinning.
It seems about the good number though of rods, because that was my next question. Like I run 6 when I go out, unless it's wintertime, and then I bring just like a shitty, crappy rod because that's all I'm going to catch.
I bring everything when it's wintertime.
Oh man, I'm so again not a power fisherman. I'm usually not an impatient fisherman. Winter though, for some reason I turn impatient, and I'm like, you know what? You want to know why I turn impatient? Is because where I fish, the crappie, they're everywhere in the winter, and they get to be they're like 2-pound crappie. So I grab a little like wet noodle 5'5" piece of crap, and I'll wail on those things all day like I'm a 60-year-old man in Alabama and just be fine with it.
So usually when I go out, I got a drop shot rod, Senko rod. I run a crankbait, usually a 3XD.
Okay.
If I'm shallow, I'm usually going Rapala Brat. I throw a spinnerbait rod, usually Strike King or Z-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Then I throw a topwater rod. I throw a chatterbait rod consistently.
For your chatter, let's pause for a minute. So the chatterbait rod, because there is 2 schools of thought on that. Are you doing more parabolic, or are you doing stiff with braid and all that?
No braid. Actually, the only braid I have on is my spinning rods.
Okay.
Everything else, I'm rocking 15 to 20 pound P-line fluoro.
Okay. But then on your chatterbait rod, is that one like a medium heavy fast action, or are you doing more of a moderate?
So I'm going to use this time and do a huge shout out. So actually the day before, I shouldn't say the day. The week before, I placed second in the A1 tournament. I was out on the Charles River, and I hit a rogue wave, and I lost my chatterbait rod. And Joe at Old Glory, and this is where we'll announce the huge news because it rolls into it.
I don't have any of those like sirens or soundboards, but I can give you like a that's what I got for you. We're low
So
budget.
this is airing after it'll be announced, but I am officially being announced as Old Glory Outdoors Pro Staff. I actually called Joe from the Charles River, still fishing, and said, dude, I just lost this rod. I know it's what I need for A1. What can you do for me? And that man one day shipped brand new rod, brand new reel, brand new. He took care of me. And I mean, it was a step above what I even owned. And I turned around and I threw that rod all day at A1. I did not pick another rod up. And that was what it was. It won me some money. It paid for the rod.
Right.
So I'm throwing a Lose Speed Stick, medium heavy, with the KVD Lose reel.
Right.
It's an 8-to-1 ratio,
Mm-hmm.
and the rod is a fast action tip.
Okay.
And usually on my chatterbait, I'm going to use this point to shout out somebody else. Usually on my chatterbait, I'm throwing the fresh bait Scorpion on the back of it. And because they all tie in together, Joe actually announced this week that fresh baits will be carried in Old Glory Outdoors. So if
that's a good deal. That's a good deal for fresh baits. That's awesome. And Joe, but I mean, that's a good deal for fresh baits. That's awesome.
Dude, it's awesome. I actually talked to both of them about this before it happened, and it's an amazing deal. If you're looking for what I'm throwing, if you're looking for what I won these on at Alabama, reach out to Joe. He'll give you the secret.
So that Scorpion, again with the chatterbait, there's kind of two schools of thought. So that Scorpion, does that give a ton of action on the back of that chatterbait, or is it more of a subtle?
So it's throwing like, dude, when I put that Scorpion on, so I ripped the tail off it and the 6 legs plus the craw. To me, I only throw jackhammer chatterbait.
Right.
But it seems to triple the vibration that comes off that chatterbait.
I've noticed a lot of people talk about I'm not a fan of the chatterbait. I think it's an overused, overrated bait. I know a lot of dudes, especially tournament guys, love it, and I totally get it because it'll get your active fish. You know what I mean? Me not being a tournament guy, just my style of fish, I prefer the swim jig. But I will say, I did find some success with it when I stopped going for like big giant boot tails on the back of chatterbaits, and I went for something with less action. Because me personally, I found that when you did those big boots, when they would add that secondary action to the bait, that would actually stop your vibration. It wouldn't, like, you were impeding what you're paying $999 now for a jackhammer. So you were impeding that action by putting that big boot tail on, right? So I would throw the swim yawn from Big Bite Baits or Zako, something with less action on the back to let that jig kind of do its deal.
So here's what you need to think about, though. Where that bait, the blade vibrates compared to the rest of the bait. Now, with those baits you were talking, they come up and almost behind the blade, and that affects the chatter. If you look how the Scorpion sits on them,
right?
Give me a second. I got one.
Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd like to see it. Again, chatterbaits are. I mean, I shouldn't say I think they're overrated. They're not. Obviously, they're fish catching machines. I'm not a tournament guy. But for me, like a chatterbait, it's something that like I was always told I have to throw, and I had zero success. And I think it's become like a easy money button, what people think with the chatterbait, like throw whatever you want. I think there is a lot of nuance to it. And I think maybe I should give it another good go with the new information that I've been trying to learn this year on that chatterbait. Because as much as I love the swim jig, and I love the swim jig, I love just crank and throw that thing in hot New Jersey garbage and they just hammer it and run, and you can set into them, and then you can just lean on them and not have to worry about it, right? I love that bite, but the thing I don't like about the swim jig, and as much as I'm trying to give as much action, secondary action to a swim jig as possible, is I'm not going to get that vibration. I'm not going to get that dirty water attention that a swim jig's going to give. You know what I mean? Like that's its fault. As I get more Jameson as we break this down.
This is actually the bait. If you look at this, it has no skirt on it.
There's no skirt.
It's missing, where's the camera at? A bunch of its paint.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing was tied on Saturday morning at Lake Pickwick when I placed third.
Wow.
This is how it came out of that. So you don't get the color. You don't get to see the skirt.
Okay.
But I can show you how I set it up. So
okay.
If you look at it, I hang the craw.
I think that's totally different than.
So it is well under where the blade vibrates, and these 6 legs in the craw, I feel triple the vibration.
But are you saying that's adding? Oh man, so that's kind of blowing my mind. So you're saying that because a jackhammer is probably the best one out there, right? It's $999.99 for a reason. The thing catches money. It's as soon as you start reeling, there's like zero delay. It gets extra thump to it, right? But you're saying the mistake a lot of folks are doing is because of the trailer they're putting on, that's interfering with the thump that it's giving. And by rigging it that way, you're getting like an under thump.
Yeah, it's almost like a wake behind it.
Gotcha.
Messes up the original wake. You know what I'm saying? So if you kind of vary it out, it all equals to one wake.
I like it. I might have to throw it on there. We'll see. No, I probably should. The chatterbait again. I want to take back. This is Bass and Brews, the most unprofessional podcast out here. We make wild claims that have zero basis because I am a moderate to mediocre bass fisherman who really should just give it all up and turn into a crappie fisherman because I'm a lot better at that somehow. Or just give it all up and turn into knitting. Me and Delirious Angling have been talking about turning into a knitting channel instead. But I made the wild claim that it's overused. I do think it's something I need to add to my arsenal more because I do fish a lot of like dirty tidal water, and it might help.
Sorry, talking to my roommate.
You're good. I couldn't tell at first. Like, is he having a moment? Is he just
no?
He's giving one up.
He's actually grabbing something for me from my car. I was telling him my keys are in my room. Trying to do it incognito, but
yeah, like it's one of those
didn't work out too well.
No, you're a better fisherman than you are a spy,
dude. I'm not used to being on this whole YouTube thing. I tried it once out on the boat with me. Thought I was gonna do a YouTube channel. I'm terrible at it. I forget the camera's there. I measure the fish. I don't even show it. I throw it. I let my YouTube dreams go a long time ago.
Listen, man, I think you might want to think. I don't know. Did you have like the camera on your chest or?
I actually went out with 2. I went out with a camera on my chest and the one facing me on the hatch of the kayak.
What made me feel better, and again, I'm not a big YouTuber either, but putting the camera behind me has become like next level because
then I feel like I'd really forget about it.
Dude, that makes the best footage though, because now you don't have to worry about it, right? You can fish and eventually you'll learn that it's there, but it's out of the way. It's not
when you catch a big fish in the tournament and that adrenaline hits and your veins are pumping, dude. I never think to turn around and be like, "Hey, look at what I got."
Like, let's say never think to turn around and be like, "Hey, make sure you like and subscribe."
Yeah, I'm gonna take those photos and be like, "Oh my god, thank you." Like, if you look at my Instagram post from Alabama, I caught 22-inch bass, biggest bass I've ever caught in my life.
Yeah.
Didn't even take a photo of me.
No, I know. I was like, is there a hidden photo?
A photo of it on the board and a photo of it on the scale.
I was like, how does he not have a like? I thought you were gonna surprise us with that. There was you joining Old Glory Outdoors, and then Nate actually took a good fucking picture of him and the fish. But no, that wasn't the news you broke.
No, you got the photos of me with the check, not of me with the big fish.
I think that all comes to your thing though, right? Like, okay, so you said the tournament I could get into right now. Like, I like doing the content creation thing. I actually enjoy doing that when I go out. I enjoy in a way where I'm not being fake. I'm not being a Guggen piece of shit. Like, that's not a thing. And this is not Nate saying that. This is me saying that. I don't like doing the fake Walmart put a flaming hot Cheeto on a fucking wacky rig and see if you can catch a fish. I don't like to do that. My videos are pretty straightforward. I go out and fish, and I do a very I do a very suboptimal way of going out and doing it. But like, I like to do that kind of deal. You know what I mean? But if tournament is so like, if I got into the tournament, I kind of know that my YouTube would slack, because I feel like that would be another thing to focus in on and not have to. Because right now, like, I got to worry about catching fish. I got to worry about that. I got to worry about angles. I got to worry, am I talking to this dumb camera, which I'm awful at anyways. It's really funny. Like, I can talk really well here. Maybe it's the beer and the Jameson that's involved. Maybe I need more Jameson on the boat. Maybe Old Town should put out a kayak accessory to hold a Jameson bottle in the river to keep it nice and cold. See,
tournament anglers, we can't drink.
Oh, you know what? I don't actually drink on the water at all.
Highly against the rules.
Yeah. No, I don't drink on the water at all, but it'd be better for my YouTube, because I'd be talkative, like, you know what I mean? I'd be talkative to the camera, because there's definitely been times where I've hooked into fish. I broke my PB in May, right? And I had
a 6-pounder.
It was 6 pounds, 15 ounces. It was epic. It was a New Jersey brute. Dude, I caught it on light gear ish. Like, I mean, it was caught on a flick shake. Like,
that's a donkey, bro.
I'm semi erect now thinking about it. It was an amazing fish.
That's bigger than any bass I've ever caught.
And you know what's awesome about the river that I fish? My previous was 6 pounds 2 ounces. I caught the 6 pound 2 ounce fish probably 200 yards from where I caught that one.
That's awesome.
And then last year I caught 7 5-pounders all within 100 yards. Like, they literally stack in this canal system off a tidal river. It's amazing.
Dude, you got to do the KBF monthlies. That's a spot you need for one of them.
I know. But like I said before, it gets to it, and I'm like, you know what's funny is I even paid the good money to get that nice metal catch board that just sits in the trunk. You know what? I actually might not have that catch board. I might not have that catch board, because that might be in the flaming wreckage of my vehicle. That was yesterday. I just realized how much I use that thing. I think it was at the bottom of my trunk when my car caught fire. So that might be gone.
If you need a catch board, I have 4. Send me your address.
I will. But those monthlies
are still in the package.
The monthlies kill me, because it's just I don't know. Like, I don't have a lot of time to go out. Just like you said, you work all the time. I work all the time too. Actually, I don't work a lot. I work a good amount in the military, but I watch my kids a lot. My wife works a lot, so I have to like manage all of those. I've got this big moving coming up in October, so I'm trying not to like. I feel like once I get back, if you guys don't know, I'm moving to the Bay Area.
Oh, really?
Like Cali, yeah. October 1st. Really? Yeah, so I'm going to be there from October 1st, 2021 till October 1st, 2022, and I will be coming back to the East Coast as a civilian.
We might do a Clear Lake trip.
Dude, you know what's funny? So I've been stationed out there twice before, and I wasn't into fishing then. So I missed out on like Delta, Clear Lake. What's that other one? There's another one that's right there, and I'm just like, let
me know when you have leave.
Yeah,
I will absolutely come out there and fish Clear Lake in the Delta. And dude, I watch Greg Blanchard's videos on those.
Dude, Greg Blanchard, come on.
God, I want to go there so bad.
I know he doesn't listen, but so Greg Blanchard, because he fishes the Delta, which is tidal. That's what my river is. I've figured out like my stuff almost through him because their tides are different because they have 12-hour tides instead of 6 hours, but it's still kind of the same thing of when those tides shift, how those fish, me and Cody talked about it too, how they're going to use the same structure and cover, but they're going to position different and they're going to bite different depending on where you're at in the tide. But I got a lot of that from watching Greg Blanchard, and he's really the one. Like I bought my it's a great starter boat, but it is a shitty paddle boat. It's the Ascend 10T from Bass Pro, right? Like it's cheap, it gets you on the water. It doesn't paddle well. It's kind of shaky when you try to stand, but you can make it happen. But I rocked that thing for 4 years, and I remember when I got it, I found Greg Blanchard's channel. Like I've been literally watching him for like 4+ years now. That dude's solid. He's got good water up there. Like,
dude, I remember watching him when he started in New York.
Yeah.
Like, he was a stick out here too in the Northeast. He still is. He came out to Cayuga.
He killed it at Cayuga. Those videos at Cayuga were insane.
So we had some technical difficulties. He actually fished a tournament there. He should have been in the money. He had some technical difficulties that kept him out of it. And I had to say, he is one of the most humble people. He had no problem admitting it. But, dude, that guy can fish. Whether it's Northeast, Southwest, wherever he's at.
I was going to say, because he used to fish in Texas, too. Before he did the whole Delta thing, he used to fish Texas trails as well.
He can fish anywhere. There's a couple of them, Russ Snyder's. You see that guy at any tournament you're going to, you're always watching your back. I remember at Alabama, I met him when they pulled the top 10 up. And I remember talking to him, and I was like, dude, I thought you were coming for me all fucking day long. All day long. I was watching your name, like, where's he at? Where's he at?
That's funny. But yeah, so I'm going to head out there. I've been looking at doing some regular fishing. They also have, leopard shark fishing is a big thing in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, I guess I'll try that. It'll be different. But when I get back, I really want to, once I find a real job, once I have to be a real person, I really want to get into that tournament side of it. That's kind of my goal.
So what helped me really learn tidal fishing on rivers and stuff is I lived in Long Island for about a year to a year and a half. And I actually helped out on a saltwater charter boat. And it really helped me understand tidal. And when I came back and started fishing the Charles and the Taunton.
Tidal's something different. That's my favorite type of fishing. It's also probably why my YouTube isn't very popular, because I fish the same area. I love the area that I fish because it's different every time. What I like about tidal is I can call those spots, right? But I can call them because the tide is a certain way, the water clarity is a certain way. The sky, like for me, I feel like tidal bass. I know for me, tide is huge, water clarity is huge, and sky cover, like cloud cover. Those are the most important things to ensure on whether I'm going to have a super productive day or not.
You saw me say it in the group chat the other day when, Cody and me were talking about big lakes versus rivers. He was like, yeah, well, what do you understand about rivers and tidal and this and that? And I kept it simple. Don't even get me started, because I know.
Listen, I'll call it out now. Again, Nate won't. Nate is a sponsored, basically professional fisherman. Cody,
wouldn't go that far.
Cody Van Sant. I'm saying this right now to the camera. You fish private waters. That's I don't have to say more. You fish private waters. You're basically a Guggen Squad member, and we can just leave it at that.
I had a feeling we're gonna get kicked out of this chat, man. Whiskey might have not been a good choice for you tonight.
Listen, man, you might be right. So let's roll into rapid fire. I'm gonna throw this man, this whiskey was a bad idea. Normally I'm pretty chill during these. I am amped, ready to fight or fuck or something. So
oh shit.
Oh, we're gonna change this to Bass and Jameson. It's gonna be a whole different podcast.
Oh, I think I started something I shouldn't have.
Oh man, we might have to do like a monthly. We're just gonna call it like the fucked up episodes where we just. Oof. All right, brother, you ready? You ready for rapid fire?
Let's do it. What do you got for me?
All right, we're gonna have some old standbys, but I do have some new ones in here.
All right.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Crocs versus sandals.
I do neither. I rock NRS boots, and I actually have the tan to prove it.
Yeah, look at that.
Those solid tan lines right there. I don't wear sandals. I don't wear Crocs. I don't do either of them. NRS boots all the time, and I look like a weirdo wearing. I wear shorts.
You wear shorts in those boots.
Oh yeah, shorts, and then the NRS boots, and then I go out in public in shorts, and I have
Nate's out there looking like a go-go boy out there with his high boots and his short shorts.
It's a rough tan line, but I will absolutely back those NRS boots, man. I've been bit by too many spiders and shit and sandals to wear those again.
I don't mess with that crap. Cover versus structure. I think I know the answer to this one.
What is it?
Cover versus structure.
You're gonna have to explain what you mean on
what do you like to fish, cover or structure better?
Oh, structure. Depends on what I'm fishing. River?
Well, you got to pick one. It's rapid fire. No, it's rapid fire. It's first out of your head.
I'm gonna go with offshore structure.
All right,
if you're on rivers, I'm definitely looking for something on deep banks closer.
Okay. Scrapple versus pork roll.
I don't even know.
Okay. Do you know what scrapple is?
No.
Do you know what pork roll is?
No.
You guys don't have that up there?
No. I don't think so. You'll have to explain what they are.
I mean, pork roll is salty ass Canadian bacon, like ham.
Okay.
And then scrapple is like in a weird shape, and it's a bunch of pig and cow assholes that you put maple syrup on.
So a bunch of people are probably going to judge me for this.
100%.
I am a big fan of Spam.
Oh, no, dude. Cheers to that.
Dude, Spam and eggs in the morning, you grill that shit on a Jordan Foreman, forget about it.
So good. So
I know I'm going to catch some heat for that being French Canadian, but you know.
I think you're going to make a sandwich Saturday where I just cook up some Spam and eggs.
Oh, dude, I live for it. I love
Spam and eggs. And not that reduced sodium. This is way off. Not the reduced sodium. That shit can go straight to hell. I want that full, like sat in a bunker in Guam and then shipped back to me Spam.
That shit'll last you another 20 years type of Spam.
Have you ever tried a musubi?
No.
So it's a thing I visited Hawaii through my travels in the service. And so they make sushi out of Spam. So they cook Spam and teriyaki.
I wish I knew about that when I was in Hawaii. I spent 2 weeks in Hawaii. I didn't know shit about that.
So they take Spam, they cook it in teriyaki, and then they put some teriyaki sauce, right? And then they layer it with rice and wrap that bitch in seaweed. And then they do a breakfast one where instead of just rice, they'll mix scrambled, like liquid scrambled egg, and then fry all of that rice. So you have a fried egg and rice mixture with teriyaki Spam wrapped in. Listen, bro, you ever come out? I make them all the time at my house. We make them like I bought the little maker. Like it's amazing. I love it.
You might have to do a Jersey trip, bro.
Dude, just so we can show you pork roll and a Hawaiian delicacy.
You might have to do a Mass trip.
I might have to. There's a lot more up in Mass. There's a lot more up in Mass than there are. There's honestly with Hookset homies, there's nobody in Jersey. Well, I mean, there's one, but
there's nobody really in Mass either. You got me, Bobby, Sean, Joe,
Bill, Delirious.
No, Bill's Connecticut.
That's all the same thing, dude.
Delirious.
It's all the same thing. You guys are the same state.
Don't you dare start putting us in with them. We ain't no Connecticut, man.
All right, non-tournament fishing, okay? Non-tournament. The rare occasion that you are fun fishing.
So we're talking ice fishing.
No. It's rare. We're in a 3-hour trip. Would you rather catch 1 7-pounder or 5 2-pounders?
1 7. Fuck. We're talking non-tournament fishing?
Non-tournament fishing.
1 7-pounder.
All right.
Tournament fishing, 5 2-pounders. Absolutely.
I 100%. That's why I was like non-tournament.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna end it like we always do here. This is the most important question on this show. Again, this is critically acclaimed.
I've been preparing for this one. I got you. Let me roll up the sleeves for this.
Well, let me get through the accolades. There's big news with Bass and Brews. I didn't think that this was going to happen. I'm really proud to announce, especially on this episode with you, we are the number 7 podcast in the Mariana Trench. So that's really great. Like, we're really doing a great job. Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah. Awesome. There's a total viewership there of 4 people. And there's 4 podcasts, but we're still number 7. So we're doing big things here. We're moving up the trail. But what we're known for, I need to know your top 3 sandwich proteins. And if you say cheese, we're ending the whole episode.
No. So I'm going grinders, because let's be real. If I'm going out on the water with a sandwich, and ain't no homemade shit. I'm going. Hold
on, we got to go straight pause. Grinder, you're saying a hot hoagie, or is that what you guys call a hoagie?
That's just what we call a hoagie.
Okay, all right.
A couple of my choices are hot. A couple aren't.
All right.
I'm gonna rock it with the steak and cheese to start. I do.
So like a cheesesteak or like a steak and cheese?
So I do steak and cheese.
Okay.
Pickles, mayo. None of that onions, mushrooms. No.
Yo, I'm going to replay this back. Normally, we do Sandwich Saturday. I got another one coming out, right? And they're garbage sandwiches. This is one that is just going to be delicious. I'm going to talk nothing but nice things about you, about how wonderful you are as a person as I eat a delicious steak and cheese sandwich. That sounds on point. I love it.
Oh, dude, that's my go-to.
I love it.
Other than that, I do an Italian toasted provolone cheese, everything. Except onions. So I'll rock the hots, the oil, all that. And then my third, I'm going to have to shout out a sandwich shop. There's a deli in Wayland on Route 20. And they do what's called the El Dorado.
Mm-hmm.
Turkey, bacon, ranch, and then a bunch of extra stuff that I can't even name off the top.
They just add everything else they have that day.
Oh, dude, if I'm near it, it's what I'm getting.
I love it, man. Those are all awesome. Not only, like, I feel like you elevated the top 3 protein game, because not only did you give me your top 3 proteins, you just built me 3 sandwiches, which I appreciate. Originally, I'm not from the East Coast. One thing I appreciate about living here, you motherfuckers love your sandwiches.
Dude, I mean, I've gone to other states and asked for a sub, and they've looked at me like, what are you looking for? You looking for a sandwich? And I'm like, no, we're in the complete wrong place.
All right, brother, this has been awesome. I definitely want to have you on again at some point. I want to get you. I mean, maybe I can get you after you. I know the big podcast gets you on the big wins. So I want to get you. I want to get you on your big loss. So when if you drop real low, I want to get you on that one. I want you sad and depressed.
You got me right now, man. You got me right now. So 2 weekends ago, man, I thought I was on them. I put 2 fish over 18 on the board. I finished 52nd out of 65 in the national tournament up at Messalonsky. So
I remember seeing that one.
Don't think I'm anything great. We all have our days. I actually went 5 tournaments in a row without catching a limit before this 4th place finish. So you caught me at the right time.
Got him at his down point, but you guys need to check him out. Where can people find you at?
So I'm going to take this time to shout out my sponsors as well.
Okay. I mean, we can skip my segment and go right to yours. I was going to do that next, but no, you got it, man. You got the big checks. You run this show, bro.
So you can find me on Instagram at Shags29. That's CHAGS 29.
I'll have that in the description of the YouTube video and on the podcast description too, everybody.
My Facebook page is Nate Chagnon. You can find me there. I want to take this time to say thank you to obviously Hookset Hoodlums. They're what brought me and Alex together. You know,
yes, sir.
I don't think I ever would have known you without Hookset Hoodlums.
Probably not. Yeah. I'm glad I do, though, brother. I'm glad I do.
Oh, dude, you're one of my favorite out of that group chat.
Way too much of that tonight, too.
Where
are you at? Oh, no, I think I got you beat.
Tonight. I don't know. I still got 3/4 of a cup, too. But I got to say thank you to Fresh Baits. They were the first people to ever sign me. I knew them back before they were ever even Fresh Baits, back when they were just a YouTube channel called Get Bent. And I've supported them 100%, and they've supported me 100%, and I wouldn't be here without them. Dead Fish Gear out of New York. They supply a lot of good stuff. You can find them on Amazon. And then, I want to shout out Oh Glory Outdoors again. Joe, amazing person, veteran-owned company. Basically, you need anything, you give them a call. They'll, if they don't have it, they'll drum it up for you. And Joe's amazing customer service between everybody that works there is just awesome. I'd like to thank Dakota Lithium Batteries, powering my fish finder and everything. And then thank all at KBF, MAKB, Elite Kayak Series. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for any of them. So
awesome, brother.
For them.
Dude, I loved having you on. We got to do this again, probably with more booze. We'll see how that goes. But hey, man, thank you so much for coming on, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed. We're done. I think I've done enough damage to my career and Nate's, so we'll call it. Later.
Sounds good, brother.